On Saturday the 21st of May 2022, the Classic Rally Club, at the instigation of President John Cooper, conducted a celebration of memories of the Repco Mountain Rally, first held in 1991. Over 100 previous competitors and officials attended the event at Penrith Paceway, some from as far as South Australia, Queensland and Victoria. A number of cars that were entered in the original events were also in attendance. Now let's hear John do his thing.
30 plus years ago, on the 19th of May 1991, saw the start of the first Repco Mountain Rally at Parramatta Park, almost to the day, with the date. Good afternoon everybody, you should know me. My name's John Cooper, on behalf of the then Cooper brothers, where we would both answer to either Brian or John, because most of you couldn't tell us apart. So welcome. As President of the Classic Rally Club, I welcome you all here today, as well as thank you all for your attendance, to remember, to reminisce, to relive, to share the passion for the good old days, the rallies, the motorsport experiences of the Jaguar Repco Mountain Rallies, especially the early years for me. I personally competed and consecutively in the first 20 mountain rallies as both a navigator and a driver. Before we get too far into the afternoon's proceedings, may we all reflect and remember all those mountain rally participants, friends and family that have passed on over the years, too many to mention. When trying to track down as many of you people as I could for this reunion, it was so sad to find out just how many of us have passed on and that we've lost, most gone too soon. This reunion was an idea I had a few years ago, thinking how good it would be to have a reunion, get together with those mountain rally people that we have lost touch with, that we don't have much contact with, and try and bring all you people back together involved for a catch-up. Unfortunately, most of the mountain rally clothing over there that I've brought along, it's all shrunk in the bloody wardrobe over the last 30 years. Must have been very good quality. But if you bought a brand new car 30 years ago, you could now have it on historic registration, thanks to the hard work of the CMC, the Council of Motor Clubs. His President Terry Thompson, please acknowledge Terry. He's here with us today. He enjoyed so many of the early mountain rallies in his beautiful Lotus Ford Cortina. Thank you, Terry, for all that you have done for club registration for all of us, mate. Thank you. May I extend my personal, and I would like to thank everybody's thanks to the few people and organisers of the mountain rallies. First and foremost, Mr. Jeffrey Bott. Without Jeff proposing his ideas and his concept for the rally to conduct a navigation sporting rally of classic cars back in 1990-91, and also later in 94, it was his idea again to form the Classic Rally Club. Without those ideas of Jeff's, we wouldn't be having this reunion. We wouldn't have formed so many friendships, enjoyed so many mountain rallies, and almost 30 years of navigation classic rallies with the Classic Rally Club, and still continuing on today. We will hear more from Jeff later. Next, I must show my appreciation to the Jaguar Drivers Club of Australia, the car club Jeff pitched his proposal to. Those Jaguar committee men, President at the time, Chris Hay, with us. Don't give them too much applause because they'll be coming up in a minute. Doug Henderson's with us all the way from Queensland. Michael Finch Cox is here. And I believe Jeff Scott was also on that committee. The others are all here. Our collective thanks to all of you guys for picking up Jeff's proposal, adding to it, building upon it, financially backing it, and making it one of the best, if not the best, classic style period navigation sporting rallies for its time in Australia. With us today from the CRC, with the Classic Rally Club, and with our special guest, Jeff Bott, life member and founder, ex-president, the first president. We have Margaret Brown, a life member of the Classic Rally Club, has come up for us. Louis McClellan, life member and ex-president. We have Tony Kanak, life member and club secretary for the past, I've lost count, 24, 25 years maybe, and still going. And he's not allowed to resign while ever I'm the president. We must thank so many of you who have travelled great distances to be here today, many from interstate. Many have walked all along these roads trying to find their way to this reunion today, but I won't say who that was.
Did he drive a Jaguar?
Yes, a white one that blows smoke when he spins the tyres, yes. Welcome, Pete. This is the Winners' Trophy, Perpetual Winners' Trophy. So I'm so glad to have that along. And the Perpetual Concourse Trophy, but most of us driving rally cars weren't that interested in concourse. I think it was only the Jaguar people. If you missed them on the way up, we have some very special cars downstairs, all of them part of the mountain rallies. And my notes said here, including 3 outright winning cars, all parked and displayed downstairs. John Macy's brought his beautiful Porsche up, still with the same livery on it that it was back then, 30 years ago. I briefly mentioned CRC life member Garth Taylor before. I'd like to pay tribute to Garth for his involvement with the mountain rallies. Shell also provided Doug Partington, Dick Johnson's race car Pantech truck, supposedly to carry all the competitors' luggage and spares, but was often called upon to carry a few non-proceeding Jaguars. I think they know who they were. On the side, without the knowledge of the superiors, of his superiors, Garth also managed Shell fuel cards for some of their officials and ran up some pretty hefty bills. Garth has continued his involvement, had continued either as a competitor in his Mark II Jag, as an official, an organiser. He's listed as a clerk of course, and had the title at one stage event management. Here's to Garth, thank you for 30 years of continued service of the classic rallying, either with the Classic Rally Club and many 20 years of the Jaguar Mountain Rallies. Okay, can I now ask the following men to come up? Let's start with Jeff Bott. We'll introduce Mr. Bott to start with. I don't know whether they're going to collide and squeak and all the rest, but Jeff, you took on the role of clerk of course in 91, 92 and 93. You got to be known affectionately as the Bott Plot. And other things. But as I understand it, that was not your intention, but you had carried out a plan of plotting only weeks before the start. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, well, after I proposed the event to the Jaguar Drivers Club, they pretty well took it on board straight away, and thanks to Chris Haig and his committee, and they received it with great enthusiasm. Jaguar Club wasn't in the best financial position at the time, and they really needed something to galvanise the members and also help their finances. Suffice to say that the event attracted over 110 entries, and at the time I was the secretary of the event, but 2 weeks prior to the start of the event I was advised that the current clerk of course had resigned, and by the way, Jeff, you can take on that job. So I discovered then that the sub-regs hadn't even been written, and I had to produce those extremely quickly. Anyway, suffice to say that the event that I had originally proposed was inspired by the Pirelli Classic Marathon, which you may or may not remember was a very popular event in the early 90s and so forth, and attracted all sorts of famous people from around the world. It was a European-based event, and I thought it was a fantastic thing, and pity we couldn't do something here. You got to remember, back in 1990, things like the Target Tasmania hadn't actually been proposed either, or it was just a thought. So basically, the mountain rally was the first really big event that attracted classic car field. One of the people that really went for a big time was Doug Henderson, and him and Michael St John Cox and various others really got stuck in, and I'm pleased to say that Doug's here today. Where are you, Doug?
I'll have Doug up here in a few minutes. And
so Doug and his then wife Marilyn really got stuck in and helped organise those first events and did a fantastic job of promotion. I think you were pretty well responsible for getting Tony Smeaton and Repco involved. And they came on board big time, and Tony competed in the event in his Mark II. Some of you may remember very enthusiastically for those first few events. So very briefly, that's how things started with the mountain rally.
thank you. Now, the proposal that I have a copy of, the exact proposal with Doug Henderson on the top. So there was a proper written proposal to the Jaguar Drivers Club. I believe you put that proposal together for such an event to be run in New South Wales, and you put it to the Jag Club. They enthusiastically embraced the concept, which resulted in the 91 Repco Mountain Rally, which did attract 110 cars from every state in Australia. We even had, I can't think of his name, Shaw, driver XK120, all the way over from Western Australia to run in those first couple of events. Shepherd.
Yeah.
Memory's not that good, Jeff. I thought it was a white one, but anyway. It was very successful, as it was the first event of its kind, run over 6 days and had 2 full days of sporting competition and 4 days of navigation stages, all timed. I have the copy of that here today, but I'll just read a quote. The first 2 paragraphs I'll read out. There are a lot of nice motor cars sitting in sheds and hardly get used. They're investments. And this event is designed to give the owners an excuse to use them. The main criteria is enjoyment of the vehicles rather than rewrite the record books. Essentially designed to cater for low road registrable cars manufactured up to 75. The event will consist of 1,000 kilometres of bitumen road sections with some sporting events thrown in for the more serious drivers. So that was the proposal, the first 2 paragraphs, and then you went on with how you think it was put together. So how about we ask Chris Hay was the president at the time. So Chris, where's Chris? Here he comes. Come and have a seat. I believe you were the first, the president of the Jaguar Club at that time. And Jeff approached you with all of his proposal, and your commitment was made up. And I believe there was a committee formed. And Doug Henderson, do you want to come up too, Doug? Whether you can stand behind Chris or have a seat here. I would say that Doug, welcome and thanks for coming all the way from Queensland. I assume from Gold Coast or Brisbane?
Gold Coast.
Gold Coast. You've heard a little bit what Jeff said, and between you and Chris, you might be able to elaborate on how it all took place and how you got it off the ground. And I would say Doug ran with most of it because I think he was the face as far as the competitors was concerned for the first 3 or 4 years. And while I'm at it, Michael, where's Michael? I'm looking into the sun, so I come up to Michael. And correct me if I'm wrong, I believe Jeff Scott was part of the committee that you first, and Jeff was supposed to be here, I said that before. And Jeff, I could be wrong, but I've said that Jeff was mainly the scorer for all those years, up until about 2000, and maybe we all seem to remember it seemed to fall on Jeff's birthday every bloody year, and we had hang on, you're just beating me too. Just wait a minute, you weren't asked to talk. It is Jeff's birthday today, so whatever he is, Liz told me this, 81, yes. So unfortunately he's got COVID and can't be here. So now, Chris, would you like to elaborate how you guys took on Jeff's proposal and ran with it?
I'd firstly like to correct something that Jeff said. I, as the president of the Jaguar Club at the time, was extremely reluctant. We were in a parlous financial position, and I was extremely reluctant to put any seed funds into the event, and I took a lot of convincing. Thank God I did. Who'd have thought 30 years ago today, the idea of having a rally with, we thought maybe 30, 40 cars running around the countryside would be as big as it turned out to be, and who'd have thought 30 years ago, 31 years ago, that we'd all be here still. I think that's enough from me.
Doug, how about we hand over to Doug and your interpretation of how things went, and how did you put your hand up to take on the role for the first 3 years to be the face of it?
Yeah, well, it's a good question, and I just want to say, I don't know who or what committee decided to put Jeff Bott into that role, but it was a bloody good decision, wasn't it? So thank you, Jeffrey. The Bott plot was just extraordinary. Look, I think what we're all talked about is this wasn't about one person at all. It was about a group of people. It's about a team of people. And you're right, Mr. President. I remember the challenging discussions we had, and to your great credit, I think Michael might have said the magic words. You decided to go with us, and what a great decision that was, because it really wasn't something you were too keen on in the early days. So, and thank you for bringing that up. Look, you could talk all day about the things. I mean, that first night was, we threw Jeff to the, we thought, well, Jeff can cop this, we'll throw him, blame him for all this navigation crap that went on. So it was bloody hard. And I've got to say, there are a few little memories I have of many of them, of course, but coming here today, I just want to congratulate John and the whole team, Garth, who's not here, and and your brother. What I looked at that video of you two at the start every year arguing about the navigation and that. It was just super, and it is sad that a number of people aren't here that were good friends and had good times with all of us. I suppose from my point of view, personally, there are a few little things that happen along the way that I know most of you will remember them in the early years. I mean, I remember we had some people from Japan, if you recall, and we had that great saying, unbelievable, which I can't do very well, but it was just.
We are lost.
Yeah, and the other one was closer to God. So and that really got around the whole rally. I don't know if it continued on. 3 years I was involved, it certainly was. Yeah.
And we gave them a trophy at the presentation dinner in Wollongong that was inscribed, travelled furthest to the rally and furthest on the rally.
They certainly did, but yes, please.
I just want to butt in for 2 seconds because you've stole my thunder from later on, and I'll put it in.
Sorry.
No, I'll put it in now. But we had an international team. They came all the way from Japan. Most of those that were there would remember. They rented a Fiat 124 Spider. It was driven by Mr. Oki, dressed like he was taking pole position at Indy. If you remember, he had all the gear on it. So clean, fantastic. And at the hill climb at Canberra, most of you remember that the Fiat became airborne and hit a couple of tyre walls and ended up in a dry dam. Mr. Shimazaki-san explained, I think it was cold tyres, not warm on track wet. So, and he said he wanted a new set of maps because the tears kept washing and smudging the maps. So, but they damaged the steering and it was all repaired at the place they found in Queanbeyan and happened to be a Fiat specialist and got him back on the way and finished the rally. So,
Yeah, thank you, John. Yeah, look, obviously all those memories come flowing back, and this is really a great day. 31 years, you can't believe it. You know, look at us all. We all look pretty good up here, don't we? No, I haven't changed much at all. But look, you know, I just want to thank, as I said, John and the committee that put it all together, Jeffrey, you know, and Garth. That what a great thing to do, and what great memories we all share. As I said, I remember, you know, one of the great memories I have, and probably I've said Chris saying this, but is I used to go out, reluctantly, Jeff would give me the map before the event, and I'd go out and I'd run around the whole thing, and I did it in the best Jaguar I've ever driven in my life. It was just a sensational car, probably the best car I've ever driven. It was an XJS, a white one, and what a great car out there on those secondary roads. It was just superb.
This isn't a plug for Jaguar.
Oh, was it? Oh, sorry. Sorry, I'm not plugging Jaguar, no, but and now you can buy one for $2 bob, you know. But, yeah, well, not a good one, but yeah, there's a few around. But it was, I really loved doing that. It was a joy to go around these amazing roads that Jeff had found and in these beautiful places. So I suppose that's one of my great memories, and you know, our gentleman from Japan was a great moment, and one of the big ones for me was year 4 when I actually competed in my little E-type, and what a year that was. And I do have a question about that for the committee that was running the rally that year, that I often wondered, you know, each day we used to, that night we'd have a meal together, and anyone that had been going too quick would get pulled up and fined. And I thought it was a really low act to pull up a previous director of the rally and suggest that he might have been going too quick. And the really thing that bogged me about it was the bloke that dogged me in was driving a 4-wheel bloody drive Toyota. So how fast was he going? Because I know how fast I was going. It was pretty quick, I can tell you. But that was a great memory, and I think that night I went from being, you know, the director of the thing to being one of the competitors, and that was really great, and I really appreciated the gesture that everyone gave me that night. So yeah, look, as I said, you could talk all night, but it was about an amazing amount of people that put their hand up. The club, Michael was just extraordinarily generous with his time and advice to me. I sometimes get a bit carried away, some of you might know about things, but just a sensational part of my life that I'll carry forever. I have a few little bits of memorabilia at home, but in fact I had to fly down this morning, was that I didn't allow me to bring anything, but thank you for being here. It was an absolute joy being part of the club. Sometimes I know it might have upset my friend here, but can I say you're the best damn president of anything I've been involved in, and I mean that I have very fond memories, Chris, of our time together, and Michael and I caught up a couple of times, which is great. So thank you for being here. I'm going to hand over to John and let you guys talk.
thanks very much, Doug. Thank you. Len, you got a minute? Could you just grab a couple of photos?
No, get lost.
Yeah, in the back here, I'd like to get a photo of these, you 4, with me in it.
Yep.
Now, I've got a few other things to say. Do you want to have a break, or do you want to keep going? Does anyone want to get up and have a beer and have a 15-20 minute break?
Yes.
Okay, let's do that, and then we'll come back in a few minutes and we'll continue on. Thank you.
Good day, guys.
Well.